Every gamer has a special favorite level, a level that transcended every other and became a core memory when it comes to gaming. For me, that level occurred in the middle of a small indie title. Before I can discuss the level, you have to understand how the game builds up to it. You start the game on the run. You don't know why or from what. You just run. Your character, a child in distress, tiredly pants as he hurries through the tall trees of a wind-rustling forest. It's dark, foggy, eerie. You come to a halt when a truck appears. It's carrying a tight huddle of people standing in a small trailer, as if they were cattle. It slowly drives away and you continue what you expect to be a trouble-free journey. Unfortunately, that peace is short-lived. You don't get every opening right away. You die numerous times until you figure out what you need to do to progress. Some deaths are gruesome and unmerciful. Solve the problem in your way, there's no time to relish your dexterity. You sprint like your life depends on it as you're chased by ravenous hounds until you jump. As I was submerged underwater, thoughts ran rampant in my mind. I wonder what just happened. A bundle of questions arose, and before I theorized answers to any of them, I found myself on the move again. There's simply no time, and even if there was, the game barely gives you anything to work with. The settings you travel through are visually rich, yet equally minimalistic. There's something ominous about this vast, industrious world that you can't quite put your finger on. You venture through old farms with infected pigs, under construction buildings, abandoned subways, and city streets filled with people that appear to be mind-controlled. The further you delve into the world, the more alone and overwhelmed you feel by it. Every being that isn't mind-controlled wants you dead. Even the environments are trying to kill you. That statement isn't made any more obvious once you reach the middle point of the game. As you emerge from the depths of the trash-filled waters, you hear muffled blasts off to the distance. They're faint, but as you walk up the sandy beach surrounded by darkness, they become easier to notice. The more you proceed through the area, the closer they get and the deeper and more bombastic they sound. You arrive in a room with a lever and a few mindless drones. When the lever gets pulled, the sign appears over a large metal sliding door. Before the door can be opened to reveal what's on the other side, a collection of puzzles where you gather more mindless drones for the weighted pressure plate ensues. Throughout the completion of them, the blasts haunt your imagination, It shakes the rooms you explore, causing the instability of the structures to tremble and rattle after each boom. You ponder on what the blast could be, what the other side of the massive door has in store for you. When you gather them all and begin your descent on the elevator to return to the big door, a soothing ambient sound trickles in. You run past the plate and the drones go to stand on it. The number quickly drops down to 2, and as you pull the lifeless body with you onto the plate, the sign zeroes out and the doors slowly open. For a moment, I believed I was about to complete the game. The ambient sound was swelling, and after all the work I put in to get this door open, the moment felt climactic. But as I ran through that open door, that moment became brief. The soothing ambient drone suddenly turns dreadful. You run up the hill, but you're knocked over by the immense shockwaves. A light flashes in the far distance, which sends a massive impulse that dominates the area. The blasts shake your surroundings every 6th second. They're so powerful that they cause anything light or fragile to explode into bits and pieces. That includes you. The sight is shuddering. You die in many ways in this game, but this is unlike any other. Your brain begins to consciously pick apart this area. Your ears perk up to listen to the shockwaves, counting the seconds in between each blast, paying attention to the sound as it gradually increases in volume as the sound waves reach you, and your eyes study the path in front of you. After taking a moment, you gather what you learn and move. Your brain subconsciously gets into the rhythm of the impulses. As you take cover and run, your immersion couldn't get any deeper. The vast, thick fog that hides everything in the distance, and the massive antennas that are nearby and visible make you feel minuscule and insignificant in comparison. It cuts into your imagination and makes you wonder what the whole place is. The impulses hurl debris at rapid speed towards you, fast enough to where if they were to hit you, you'd be dead in an instant. This threatening area is the most lethal in the game. It's the beating heart that powers this industrial world. It's intimidating, overwhelming, unfathomable. You arrive at a ladder with a rotating piece of steel. A lever is on the ground, and when you pull it, the rotating piece comes to an abrupt halt. I remember using my previous knowledge and experience and attempted to apply it here by positioning the cover on the ladder. I climbed up the ladder and used it as so, and proceeded to the next point of cover, but I ran into an issue that left me dumbfounded. There was no cover to be used. I made several attempts to sprint across, but every attempt ended with the same outcome. In pieces. I was perplexed. I truly didn't know how to get past this part. I spent a good 15 minutes experimenting with different solutions, thinking that I just had to position the piece of steel in a different spot. I was about to give up and do the one thing I told myself I wouldn't do because it would ruin the experience. Look on YouTube. But before I pulled out my phone, I took one more look at the screen and watched the rotation. A light bulb went off in my head, and I made one more attempt that was unlike any of the others. Chills ran through my whole body. I stopped and stood still, processing what I had just experienced after solving a seemingly impossible puzzle. For 2 hours straight, I ran for my life. No area in the game felt safe. Here I was, in the most treacherous environment thus far, yet Instead of feeling tense, I felt free. In an instant, everything about this area changed. The haunting drone music had shifted into a more beautiful, inspiring ambience. Every bit of the soundscape, every footstep, clash of hurling debris, and even the loud shockwaves were soaked in reverb. The terrifying level now suddenly was an awe-inducing one. The wonder I felt as I continued through the area filled me with shocking emotions. As I ran on, I couldn't help but smile and audibly exclaim my amazement with this level. The buildings around me would crumble. The shockwaves would hurl more debris in attempts to kill me. This place wanted me dead. But the fear I felt before had now been replaced with invincibility. I felt like I could take on anything. That moment where you solved that one puzzle felt like a turning point in the game. Whatever this lone boy was after, he wasn't going to let anything get in his way. His persistence would overcome it. I now sensed that the boy was on an important journey. It was inspiring. That realization, paired with the serene music, caused a lump in my throat to form as his inspiration had now affected me. It's not a sad moment in the game whatsoever. I still had no idea what was going on story-wise, which typically is a red flag for me, but I felt attached to this child more than ever after this incredible level. As the boy makes a big jump and slides down a long pipe, he arrives at the end of the level. I remember it fondly. I stopped and took a moment to process everything, in overwhelming awe. I felt like I was finally able to breathe, whereas before I was always moving. I played this game several years ago. To this day, there has never been a moment in another game quite like this one. It's a level that I consider to be the greatest level ever created. From the sound and level design, to how it challenges and rewards the player as they progress through it, it's a masterpiece. I took one last deep breath and slowly made my way to the exit. I was now on the same mission as the boy, whatever it was. It didn't matter how challenging the next portions of the game would be, because I knew that if I could get through something as monumental as the Shockwave level, I could get through anything. I walked into the level with fear, but I came out of it with bravery.